Eres madre del Creador y a mi corazón le cantas, gracias te doy con amor. Buenos días, paloma blanca.
A person's traditional beliefs are an important part of his or her identity. Along the border between Mexico and the United States, celebrations display the different beliefs of the many people who live there.
It's so hard to talk about one thing, paper flowers or music, without talking about food and the other things that all go to make a part of the occasion, because these celebrations, we're talking about celebrations along the border and our little tiny part of the border. These celebrations are so complex, and they involve all these different things. The paper flowers fit into the food fits into the music fits into the pictures for the saints. It all sort of goes together into a complex whole, and it involves two nations and lots of different artists living in different places.
The Pascola Dance plays an important part in the traditional celebrations and ceremonies of the Tohono O'odham Indian nation of southern Arizona.
I started when I was 12, but the thing is, if you want to dance, you have to, when you start younger, you can't go to sleep if it's an all night. You have to push it to do the dance, and you have to do at least maybe 3 or 5 years in order to be called a Pascola.
These are Tohono O'odham people from the Arizona-Sonora border lands, west of Tucson, in the big desert country west of Tucson. And they're doing a dance which in English is called Pascola, Pakora in O'odham. And it's a ritual dance, it's a sacred dance. You'll notice there's an altar here at the back of the Ramada, and you'll notice that several of the dancers bless themselves before starting. It is a part of a very complex mixture, a complex blending of native ideas and Christian ideas that makes up the Tohono O'odham culture.
See, we have to make the sign of the cross when we start dancing. That's why we brought our patron musician, Saint Cecilia. And on the side is San Javier, the picture from Mother Elena. And it's true that we do this for certain occasions. If there's, because sometimes there's a sickness that's involved in this Pascola, this Pacola. So what we have to do is, in the same time, the healer is in there with the sick person, and we go ahead and dance first, and after we dance, each Pacola, besides the players, will have to go over there and make the sign of the cross on the person that's sick. And sometimes this will go all night.
I bet people are wondering what the leg rattles are. They are the cocoons of moths, a special kind of a moth that lives in the desert. And you find the cocoons and you tie them into long strings. You slit them open and you take the moth inside out and you put little pebbles in. And they make this wonderful rustling sound so that the dancer really turns into a third instrument, another musical instrument accompanying the music.
We all line up right here and go back 4 times. See, the elderly tell us, if you want to kill a rabbit, don't eat it until you kill 4 of them. So anything you do, you have to do it 4 times, commemorating the east, west, south, and north.
And one thing I'd like to remark on is this extraordinarily delicate music. This violin music has lived in this community by ear. This is not written down music. This is not music you can learn in school. There are very few violin players, even in the community, who play this music, and it's strictly
a living oral tradition.
The Pascola Dance is only one part of a traditional event for the Tohono-O'odham. When members of the community gather, food and religious decorations play an important role.
This is a culture and this is a world where these celebrations are announced on the radio. And the radio goes out over the whole reservation in O'odham. Every Sunday there's a radio program in the native language of this reservation. And the parties are announced then, and so if you can hear the radio, you know you're invited, and you go.
At the O'odham feasts, decorations adorn the chapel walls. Some of the decorations are made on the reservation, but others are from across the border in Mexico. Many of the painted picture frames that hang in the Tohono-O'odham chapels are made by Anastasio Leon. Anastasio Leon is not from the Tohono-O'odham community. He lives and works in Imuris, Mexico, over the border from Arizona. Anastasio learned his skills from his father, Jesus Leon, who was a craftsman and a puppeteer. Although they live on opposite sides of the border, Anastasio Leon and the Tohono-O'odham share some of the same sacred objects. Every year on the 4th of October, a celebration honors St. Francis in Magdalena, Mexico. People come from both sides of the border to this celebration. At the fiesta in Magdalena, the Tohono-O'odham often purchase Anastasio's painted picture frames to bring back to Arizona to display pictures of their own saints. At the festival in Washington, a daily procession was held to honor the Virgen de Guadalupe. The procession brought together residents from all along the border.
It struck me the other day how some people were saying that every pueblo in Mexico has its saint. Well, we in the United States, I think, have, as a pueblo chicano, as a tribe, we have the Virgen de Guadalupe as an image.
Gloria Moroyoki, a Yaqui Indian, made this elaborate image of the Virgen de Guadalupe at her home in Sonora, Mexico. She brought the picture with her to the festival. Jim Griffith, a fellow border resident, spoke of Doña Gloria and her work.
She is a consummate artist with paper, and she makes things, the things that she makes are intimately connected with celebrations. She makes piñatas for parties. She makes decorated eggshells filled with confetti, cascarones for kids to whack each other over the head with at parties. And she makes paper flowers to make altars beautiful with and to hang on the graves of the dead.
Doña Gloria has been making flowers for most of her life.
Yo aprendí a hacer las flores por medio de mi mamá. Cada vez que hago una flor, siento mucha alegría, mucho gusto, porque, como le dijera, siento como si mi mamá me estuviera enseñando todavía. Me siento muy feliz.
¿Y estas flores usted las preparó, las hizo para mandarlas aquí? ¿O?
Sí, las hice para mandarlas aquí porque me las pidieron. Y pues yo todas las cosas pienso que las hago con mucho amor.
A couple of people have said, gee, why do you use artificial flowers when real flowers are so beautiful? We live in the desert, and there aren't always real flowers. And real flowers are beautiful today, and they'll be wilted and dead and gone tomorrow. It's hard to realize that in real life, one makes constant compromises in order to keep tradition going, and it's the tradition you carry in your heart that is important to continue, rather necessarily than all the outward aspects of that tradition.
Compared to the Tohono-O'odham community of southern Arizona, the Mixtecos of Tijuana, Mexico are recent migrants to the border. When they moved to the border from Oaxaca, this group of Mixtecos brought their own celebration traditions with them. In Washington, D.C., they built an altar for the Day of the Dead, a celebration which normally takes place from October 31st to November 2nd.
El altar que presentamos en este día es el altar de muertos, que es una tradición mixteca, de la Mixteca Baja de Oaxaca. Esta es una tradición que los mixtecos han festejado desde hace más de 500 años, desde mucho antes de la llegada de los españoles. El 31 de noviembre estamos esperando que lleguen los niños, los muertos niños, que les llamamos, es el Día de los Angelitos. En la tradición mixteca, el que los niños puedan venir durante la noche, puedan reencontrarse con sus adultos, con los padres, con los hermanos, con sus abuelos, y lleguen a la casa y encuentren comida, encuentren un olor que los guíe, encuentren colores. Es como una forma de darles vida de nuevo, ¿no? En este altar, ahora algo muy importante son las velas. Las velas del altar son la luz que va a guiar a los muertos para que lleguen hasta la casa.
Esta vela chiquita es para los niños pequeños. Laura. La vela que tengo en el brazo izquierdo es una vela para los adultos o la persona de más importancia en la comunidad o en la casa. Así deben de hacer ustedes, muchachos, conservar la autoridad de mayor y menor, respetar uno y otro.
Food is an important part of the Mixteco Day of the Dead ceremony. Some of the Mixteco foods, like mole, were prepared at the festival. Not all of the food at the Day of the Dead ceremony is for eating. Different fruits adorn the altar. Laura Velasco explains their purpose.
La comida que podemos ofrecerles a los niños es una comida suave, no es una comida fuerte. Ahora está la tequila y las cervezas, pero porque estamos pensando que hoy van a llegar los adultos. Y la bebida, el alcohol es es un elemento importante en las fiestas, en la vida de los mexicanos y de los indígenas. Y es parte, digamos, de los elementos que pueden ayudar a que una fiesta sea una fiesta más feliz. Entonces, nosotros les estamos ofreciendo a los muertos lo mejor de nosotros.
Beliefs help to define and confirm a person's identity. These beliefs are celebrated in many different ways along the border. Despite the daily difficulties created by an international border, people find ways to keep their traditional beliefs alive.
Eres madre del Criador.